what has been your most successful failure? And by that, I mean, at the time seemed like a devastating loss that you weren't going to be able to recover from, but you were able to take lessons from that and use those lessons to propel you to greater success down the road.
So hopefully I can do this quick. I was a
Take your time.
New young store manager. I was 26 years old, and I got promoted to open the second Home Depot in the greater Baltimore area. The preface to this, or the setup, is I knew everything. Merchandising, operations. I've been doing this since I was 18 years old. I was well trained. I knew everything except how to be a leader. I would tell people what to do or expect them to do it and get frustrated by the lack of results. And I literally spent a year of my life and my career as a store manager thinking and knowing, and I would have understood that the next day I came in, I was going to lose my job. The numbers in my store were terrible, to say the least. What we would call culture in my store was bad. And I spent a year of my life going in every day wondering if that was the day they were going to let me go. And I was blessed to work with some pretty incredible people that didn't give up on me. Saw the talent or the passion or the drive, whatever it was.
The runway. It was a runway, Sean.
A runway. It was a long ass runway, let me tell you. And it took a lot of starch out of me, but I am forever grateful that they didn't give up on me. They had hard conversations with me, but at the same time, I was low. They took the time to pick me up and encourage me. And a lot of things happened over the course of that year. And I think it made me the leader that I was and allowed me to develop hundreds of future leaders for the company that are still there now doing great. But that was the hardest lesson, I think, but it built me into the leader that I became and understood how important being a teacher and a motivator was. And if you said leadership, that's kind of a generalized word. I think leaders teach and motivate people better than anything else that they do. And that was the lesson that I learned, was that you manage in time of crisis, and that's fine. And that's going to happen when there's an emergency. But leaders succeed, and leaders create other leaders and create better leaders. And that's what I learned, is to become a teacher and a motivator.
Gotcha. So educating, taking the time to educate and motivate your team.
Absolutely. And I actually, again, it was 60, 70-hour work weeks. And I've done that since I was 18 years old, but it was kind of fruitless. There was activity without productivity. I wasn't teaching people. And, one day the store was good. The next day the store was bad. And it was ironic that one night, typically I would work, we called it the Thursday night close, but we'd be there until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning on Friday. Sometimes we saw the sun come up to make sure the store was right for the weekend. And one night I went back to my office and I wrote a letter, and I still have it. I wrote a letter to all my associates, and I made a copy, and it went out with every paycheck that next Friday. And it was my stake in the ground, and said, I'm going to change. We're all going to change, and you can be part of it. If not, I completely understand, but you're in the wrong place working for the wrong guy. And nobody quit, thank God. And it was really strange, because that next day, the amount of people that unsolicited would just walk by me and tap me on the shoulder or the back and say thank you really was pretty touching to me, and kind of, I guess, solidified the idea I was doing the right thing. But going from a manager, know-it-all guy, to a leader who asked for input, asked people for suggestions, and taught them the business and motivated them to do things that they didn't think they could do. biggest change in my entire life. And that was between the ages of 26 and 27.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer. I can't remember who it was that told me this, and I realized that for the longest time I was like that. And I would tell my trainers, I don't do a lot of training at my club. And that's by design. But I would tell the trainers how I wanted them to train the clients. Had a process for it, right? A little script for them or outline to follow. And then somebody told me that, your trainers spend a lot more time with your clients, with your members than you do. So maybe you should listen to them. And I was like, oh shit. Yeah, that's right. So it's important to get that feedback, because I know I have the insight and the knowledge of kind of what goes on behind the scenes to make everything work. But then there are the frontline troops. They're on the front lines dealing with the members, dispensing customer service, customer experience, all the important things that keep the numbers where we need them. So I need to get that point and mesh those two to some solution that works for the business. And I think that's a really, really important lesson that anybody should learn.
That's the magic of leadership is bridging those two, and magic happens at that point. Like I said before, I mean, again, our clubs are running better than ever. If we were in our clubs, they would not be anywhere near at the levels they are today.